The night of April 24, 2025, inside the London Square Apartments, 34-year-old Robbie Clark was found dead. According to the Oklahoma City Police Department, Robbie was a member of the Grande Barrio Central gang, also known as GBC 23. This is the second largest Hispanic gang in the city. They're based around Central and 23rd Street on the southeast side. Members wear red, which sometimes leads people to mistake them for norteños. GBC 23 has a long-running feud with two rival gangs, South Side Locos 13 and Grande Barrio Locos 14. While the gang has been around since the late 1970s or early 1980s, they started getting serious attention in the 2000s after a violent conflict with South Side Locos 13, a rivalry that continues today. The South Side Locos are considered the largest Hispanic gang in all of Oklahoma City and possibly the entire state. Also known as the most hated crew, or 25th Street Locos 2513, they have numerous subsets and affiliated crews spread throughout the South Side, operating under their name and influence. The gang originally formed in the 1980s, founded by a group of Sureños who migrated from California and were brought to Oklahoma by a gang member known as J-Rock. He moved there with hopes of giving both himself and his son a fresh start and avoiding serious prison time. However, once in Oklahoma, J-Rock began associating with other California transplants involved in gang life. Instead of escaping the lifestyle, he helped plant deeper roots for the gang in OKC, ultimately leading to the spread and growth of the South Side Locos 13 in the region. Their rivals, the GBC, often show their affiliation through tattoos known as rayas, the Spanish word for stripes, featuring the number 23 or the letters SE for Southeast, or GBC for the gang's name. On June 12, 2025, at 12:20 p.m., police arrested two men, Juan Balderas and Baden Cornelius. After months of investigation, officers confirmed that both men are members of a rival faction called the Movement, a subset clique under the Grande Barrio Central gang. Police have not publicly disclosed a specific motive for why Robbie Clark was killed. The incident has led many to believe it was drug or gang related. But the war between Grande Barrio Central and the South Side Locos is one of the oldest and most notorious rivalries in Oklahoma City. On a quiet summer night in the 2000s, a South Side Locos member known as Baby Joker was out patrolling the South Side when he and his crew spotted several GBC members hanging out near a local store. And without hesitation, they jumped out and assaulted one of the GBC members, beating him badly. It was during moments like these when he would laugh, earning him the nickname Baby Joker. On August 11, 2004, a tragic gang-related drive-by shooting occurred at Northwest 13th Street. The South Side Locos were trying to hit members of the GBC. Three South Side Loco members, Spooky, Rico, and Wero, thought they were targeting a GBC leader. When they saw the front door wide open and a man lying under a blanket on the couch, they opened fire on the first person they saw. After shooting many times into the man's back, the boys ran away. Later, they found out the person they hit was not a gang leader, but a 9-year-old boy named David Pica. The house was connected to the GBC, but their target was an innocent boy. After that, the GBC vowed to get revenge on the South Side Locos. One night, they spotted a member sitting alone in his car. Seizing the moment, the shooters ran up and opened fire, unloading a hail of bullets into the vehicle before fleeing the scene. Police arrived at the scene to find the man with injuries to his face and chest. This sparked numerous planned shootings between the two gangs. However, while the GBC and Locos were locked in their violent feud, other Hispanic gangs were quietly taking control of the drug trafficking operations. MS-13 saw an opportunity to jump into the Hispanic gang culture that was spreading across Oklahoma and decided to bring the California-born gang to Oklahoma City, settling mainly around the city's west side and north side neighborhoods. Today, they maintain a decent-sized presence, particularly around 23rd and 16th Street. Originating in Los Angeles during the 1980s among Salvadoran immigrants, MS-13 quickly grew into one of the most notorious Hispanic gangs in the country. Like their counterparts in California, the Oklahoma City set share a deep rivalry and hatred for the 18th Street gang, as well as original local sets like West Side Vario 5150. While they don't often make widespread headlines locally, law enforcement has tracked members involved in serious criminal activity, including drug smuggling across the Oklahoma Panhandle and multiple murder cases since the early 90s. Gangs like MS-13 and other 13-labeled gangs operate under the Mexican Mafia. These gangs are part of a larger network that controls many criminal activities across the United States. From the 1990s to the 2000s, Oklahoma City officially became a key area under the influence of the Mexican Mafia. One important figure in this expansion was Lil Boxer. He was a member of the Compton Vario Tortilla Flats and a shot caller for the Mexican Mafia. In 2002, Little Boxer was sent to Oklahoma City by the Mexican Mafia to set up a drug trafficking operation. This was similar to what the Mexican Mafia had already done in other cities like Albuquerque, New Mexico. Operating mostly from Florida, Little Boxer organized the shipment of meth and marijuana from California to Oklahoma City. He worked with several local people to run this operation smoothly. One of these was Eduardo, known as Lalo, who helped transport the drugs. Another was Jennifer Lugin, who managed the distribution of the drugs once they arrived in Oklahoma City. Boxer's girlfriend Mousy also helped by storing the drugs safely. Together, they created a large network that made millions of dollars from drug sales. The operation was very organized and involved at least 20 people. They made over 190 wire transfers to move the money made from selling drugs. Little Boxer even created a hit list targeting local drug dealers and gang members who didn't follow his rules. Some of the people on that list belonged to gangs like Mesta Park 14, Culver City 13, the GBL, and other 13 gangs throughout the city. Eventually, he was convicted for his role in leading this drug trafficking operation. One of the most notorious gang members to make a name for himself in Oklahoma was Chucky. At just 9 years old, Chucky ran away from his home in Southgate to join the Compton Tortilla Flats 13. Chucky had been diddled by his neighbor. After his father abandoned his mother, the T-Flats became his new family. And among his brothers, he chose Midget and Woody, who were only a few years older than Chucky. Both had already been shot and seriously wounded by rival gangs before Chucky arrived in 1993. In 2003, many things happened involving the Mexican Mafia and Hispanic gangs. A 19-year-old Chucky was shot and killed. Some people thought it was a drug deal that went wrong, but others believed the Mexican Mafia was behind it. Members like Crook felt responsible for how Chucky turned out, so he ended up becoming an alleged informant and transgender. In the summer of 2003, 16-year-old Joel Escareno, known as Little C, survived a violent gang attack tied to a gang war between multiple Hispanic sets. On November 19, 2002, Joel was sitting in a parked car with a friend when another vehicle pulled up nearby. That's when a South Side Loco member inside fired an assault rifle, injuring both of them. Little C was hit in the shoulder, and his friend suffered a broken elbow. Little C grew up surrounded by gun violence. His home on Southeast 16th Street had been hit by gunfire at least 3 times over the previous 4 years, with 24 bullet holes visible by early 2003. Nearly 9 months after the shooting, Little C and his 15-year-old friend, known as Birdman, spent time near Shidler Elementary School, a place marked by gang graffiti and tied to the Grande Barrio Central. The GBC is mostly made up of school dropouts and have claimed the elementary school as part of their territory. The gang has also splintered off into subsets like Chingones de Oclas and the Movement. This gang war has made many members look for ways to cope, with 15-year-old Birdman inhaling paint fumes to get high and deal with his PTSD from all the gang wars he had seen. This way of life has led many young men to become trapped in the gang lifestyle, resulting in the loss of their lives to gang violence or long prison sentences for murder. Sadly, Birdman couldn't escape the gang lifestyle, and by 2012, he had already earned a reputation as an OG within the Grande Barrio Central. Birdman was looked up to by younger members and had a strong hold in his set. That same year, he was arrested for his alleged role in a drive-by shooting near Phillips Avenue and Southeast 29th Street. I believe that Birdman had fired at a vehicle owned by a rival gang member of the South Side Locos. After the shooting, he went on the run, but was eventually captured in the Oklahoma Panhandle following a public tip. The Panhandle is known for a strong presence of Hispanic gangs, such as Vato Loco Boys, La Mirada Locos, Mara Salvatrucha 13, Southside 13, Norteños 14, Southwest Roosevelt 13, and many others. The GBC is believed to have ties with some of these cliques. This is nothing new to the OCPD, because Oklahoma's drug network links various Southside Hispanic gangs, forming a complex web of alliances and operations. But despite the serious nature of the charges, Birdman was released on bond. Instead of returning to face trial, he fled the country and crossed into Mexico, using connections to avoid prosecution. While in Mexico, Birdman continued living the gang lifestyle, though the exact nature of his activities there remains unclear. Birdman was known for his hot-headed temper and had a criminal past that included arrests for pulling out firearms on rivals and a history of trafficking large quantities of drugs since the age of 17. Given his background, it's possible he became involved in illegal activities while in Mexico. And on November 15, 2016, Birdman was shot and killed. Some believe he may have encountered a rival, while others speculate he may have been targeted by cartel members. This is a possible theory, as it's not uncommon for Chicano gang members to have connections with Mexican cartels. On August 8th, around 3:10 a.m., Roberto Antonio Favela Avalos was critically injured in a drive-by shooting near Southwest 44th and Walker Avenue. He was in the backseat of a vehicle when a car pulled up and opened fire, hitting him and another passenger. This was believed to be part of the ongoing conflict between the South Side Locos 13 and GBC. Fernando would later be identified as a member of the Grande Barrio Centrals and was booked into the Oklahoma County Jail on complaints of assault with a deadly weapon and shooting with intent to kill. On a Sunday morning in July 2018, a known South Side Locos gang member named Bomba was wanted for a drive-by shooting in the southwest of Oklahoma City. Police later revealed that he had been wearing a court-ordered GPS ankle monitor during the shooting. Because of this, they were able to track Bomba down. Just after 3 a.m., officers responded to the 1600 block of Southwest 32nd Street, where a party had been targeted in a drive-by shooting. It's believed that Bomba was trying to shoot members of the GBC over some beef that had went on prior to the situation. Witnesses reported a black Dodge Nitro with chrome wheels pulling up to the home, and the individuals inside the SUV then flashed the South Side Loco gang sign and yelled "Southside" before opening fire on the crowd. 3 people were shot during the shooting, but thankfully, no injuries were reported from that night's gunfire. Investigators later confirmed the SUV matched a vehicle Bomba was known to drive. GPS records from his ankle monitor also showed he was at the scene at 2:58 a.m. Bomba had been out on bond from an April arrest involving charges of trafficking meth, possession of drug proceeds, and possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony. As part of his release conditions, he was required to wear a GPS monitor. On July 17th, officers tracked Bomba down to a hotel after speaking with another Southside Loco gang member who had just left his room. That individual told police Bomba admitted to hiding from authorities due to his involvement in the shooting, and he was arrested and booked on complaints of gang association and discharging a firearm from a vehicle. In that same month, Fernando Delgado, a documented Southside Loco gang member, was arrested after targeting members of the GBC in a drive-by shooting. The attack happened around 10 p.m. on a Friday night while a woman and her friends were taking a break from loading a moving truck at a home in the 700 block of Southwest 24th Street. Without warning, gunfire erupted. 6 bullets struck the house, with 4 hitting the moving truck and 2 penetrating the kitchen window and a back bedroom. A nearby house was also hit, and Southtown was spray painted inside its garage. The woman, believed to be the intended target, told police she had been followed by a suspicious vehicle for several days. The woman was not believed to have any gang affiliation, but she likely knew someone who belonged to the GBC. Immediately after the shooting, she saw the same car fleeing and later identified Delgado from a Facebook photo where he was standing in front of that exact vehicle. She also reported that drive-by shootings happened at the same address on the 2 previous nights. Not long after the incident, she spotted Delgado again, waiting at a nearby gas station. Police rushed over to the gas station, where he was seen trying to light a gasoline-filled beer bottle with a purple cloth, suggesting he was preparing a Molotov cocktail. Officers then recovered a 9mm handgun hidden in the car's sunroof, along with an empty magazine. A total of 9 shell casings were matched to Delgado's vehicle and the shooting scene. Delgado was speaking with a slur, but admitted to firing the weapon. He was booked into Oklahoma County Jail on charges of possession of a firearm after a felony conviction, public intoxication, gang association, and using a vehicle to facilitate the intentional discharge of a firearm. In 2022, Eduardo Rosales, a high-ranking leader of the South Side Locos gang, was sentenced to 30 years in federal prison. Eduardo was orchestrating a massive drug trafficking operation, all while incarcerated. Known for running operations with an iron grip from inside state prison cells, Eduardo used contraband cell phones to direct a network of gang members and associates in and outside of prison walls. The South Side Locos were involved in conflicts with multiple gangs, both on the streets and behind prison walls. On the outside, they clashed with GBC and GBL, but while inside the prison system, they were rivals of the Indian Brotherhood. Their feud led to numerous violent incidents, including frequent stabbings behind the walls. The multi-year investigation, spearheaded by the FBI Oklahoma City field office, along with other federal and local agencies, led to the conviction of 60 South Side Locos members and associates. Prosecutors revealed that Eduardo operated the drug ring by leveraging connections in Mexico, using incarcerated gang members, outside associates, and drug couriers to move and distribute large quantities of methamphetamine across Oklahoma. At his December 15, 2022 sentencing, the court emphasized Eduardo's continued criminal activity despite being locked up, highlighting his leadership role and significant criminal history. He was already serving a 15-year sentence in state prison when the federal court added the 30-year term. Investigators uncovered that Eduardo and his crew used cell phones smuggled into Oklahoma Department of Corrections facilities to coordinate drug shipments, give orders for deliveries, stash profits, and even instruct couriers. The operation trafficked over 180 pounds of meth, 10 pounds of heroin, more than 200 grams of cocaine, and amassed $300,000 in cash. Law enforcement also seized 69 firearms, many of them in the possession of convicted felons, and retrieved 12 contraband phones and 5 weapons from inmates tied to the operation. Charges in the sweeping indictments included drug trafficking, drug conspiracy, firearm offenses, and maintaining drug-involved premises. The investigation and resulting prosecutions were part of the Organized Crime Drug Enforcement Task Force's program, which targets the most dangerous drug networks threatening U.S. communities. But they wouldn't stop here. The Oklahoma City Police Department began investigating members from several gangs, including the South Side Locos and GBC. Authorities discovered that some gang affiliates were attempting to infiltrate the detention center by becoming correctional officers, aiming to smuggle in drugs, weapons, and target rival gang members while incarcerated. Gang members joining the prison system isn't a new concept, but what made this different was the clear intent to carry out crimes while on duty.
Meanwhile, the Oklahoma County Jail says gang affiliates have been trying to get jobs as jailers.
The Oklahoma Police Department got involved by denying applications and exposing the gangs that had attempted to infiltrate the prison system. Just like in California, Oklahoma City's gang culture operates almost identically, with similar structures and rivalries. The key difference is that while Hispanic gangs in California often push a strong end-killer mindset, Oklahoma only briefly embraced this early on. Black gangs like the Oak Grove Posse Crips once went to war with the South Side Locos, but by the 2000s, alliances shifted, and many Hispanic gangs in OKC began aligning with black gangs, even allowing black members to join their ranks. Thank you for watching another episode of Hood 187.